Hey guys, and welcome back to Movie Files. Morgan and I are here to give you guys our non-spoiler review for a film I was highly anticipating. Morgan was definitely excited to see it. We're talking about Deadpool 2. So before we get into the review, definitely subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to do so. Right in the little subscribe button. And leave us some comments too after this video. But before we get into this actual review of Deadpool, let's talk a little bit about the first one. We didn't have our channel when the first Deadpool came out in February back in 2016. So a little bit on Deadpool, the first one. What did you think about the first film?
I thought it was something new, different, and hilarious.
I totally agree. Deadpool, the first one was just something that definitely surprised me.
I loved Ryan Reynolds,
Ryan Reynolds
as
was
Deadpool.
born to play Deadpool.
Yes.
I love
Perfect.
if you take away like the action sequences from Deadpool, the first one, it's essentially a romantic comedy because it has Vanessa and Deadpool and their relationship, and you really felt for their relationship. So
and it's very gutsy. Like they just say whatever.
It's a raunchy R, so it's definitely up my alley. I love a good rated R comedy. But that's our little review for the first Deadpool. So we were definitely excited to see this second one. So you know, if you guys aren't too familiar with the second sequel, we don't have Tim Miller from the first one, which was part of the magic. Him and Ryan Reynolds and the writers coming up with the first story. But we get David Leitch. He's a great action director. If you've seen John Wick, you've seen Atomic Blonde, he's known for great action. So I was excited to see him come to this franchise. But as far as the story goes, pretty simple from the trailers. You have Deadpool, who's embracing himself as this new kind of superhero. He runs into this new mutant, Russell, who has these powers he really can't control. And then we get, Cable coming into the mix. We get X-Force. So there's a lot going on with this movie without giving too much away. So let's just jump right into it. What were some positives that you got walking out of this theater last night when we saw it Thursday?
Yeah, so number one, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. Yes. I love him. Number two, the comedy. Like, it was like one after the other. Yes. Like, joke. But it wasn't like too much. It was still paced well. Speaking of pacing, I thought the movie overall was paced very well. It didn't feel too long. It didn't feel too short. They told the story and they got it done with, in my opinion. And then also I really enjoyed watching him create the X-Force. We see that in the trailers. That was really fun for me. I'm a huge fan of Zazie Beetz, so it was really cool to see her as Domino, and I thought it had a likable villain. So I totally, to follow up what you just said, I thought the comedy really worked just like the first one. Deadpool, like you said, is just it hits you sometimes, and it's one of those movies that you can watch over and over again because there's some jokes you just miss because you're laughing so much from the previous one. So the jokes definitely landed. The action was great. The first one is well documented. It had a small budget. They only worked with, $50 million sounds like a lot of, it's a lot of money, but in the scale of the superhero movies, $50 million isn't a lot, and you take into account the marketing. So this, you saw they ratcheted up the budget, and it was worth every penny. The CGI, everything that they had in this movie was great. And then, like Morgan said, we'll talk a little bit more about the characters. I thought Domino, as you said, Zazie Beetz. We watch Atlanta. If you guys follow us on Stardust, we do Atlanta reviews every week. Well, and you see in the trailer too, like, oh, what's your superpower? And she's like, I'm lucky. And it was just really cool to see that sprinkled in, like her luck throughout the movie.
Definitely. The chemistry between her and Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. So Domino and Deadpool. If you guys are fans of the comics, the chemistry definitely worked. So I thought those characters, she was a standout to me.
Absolutely.
But also, this is the year of Josh Brolin. We got Thanos. You guys can check out our non-spoiler and spoiler review for Infinity Wars. But, Josh Brolin's in Infinity War. He's in this, and then Sicario fans. This is the year of Josh Brolin, and I thought he killed it as Cable. He's such a great actor. I love the banter between him and Deadpool.
It was a likable villain, which not every movie does that,
Right. I definitely thought that Cable as from the trailers, you could tell that he has some, I don't want to say villains, but he's kind of the protagonist in a sense. But I love their banter that they had. And some other characters, too, that stood up for me was obviously Deadpool. As you said, Ryan Reynolds was born to play this role. He takes it to the next level. And I love what they did with Deadpool in this film because we see him obviously as Deadpool, but we also get to see more Wade Wilson out of the costume and his interactions with the X-Force and X-Men characters and also Vanessa, which I love. But also, too, I thought Russell, the character,
I liked him.
Russell,
he was cute.
Yeah.
He reminded me, what is her name? She goes by Fat Amy in Pitch Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And the way he talked, the way he delivered...
Rebel Wilson.
The way he delivered some lines, like, And maybe it's the accent
Australian
too.
Accent,
but
yeah.
it was just like
he was great. I definitely liked Russell
good.
For this film.
He was
and I know
really
the young actor. He's in some other movies with Taika Waititi's film. I can't think of it right now, but I know he's a really up and coming actor. I really like him. And also for me, one of the MVPs was Colossus. I mean, he was in the first Deadpool. Him and Warhead. I can't even think of her name right now, but I love Colossus in this film. I thought he had more to do, which I love. So those are definitely some MVPs for me as far as standout characters. Now, not every movie's perfect, and we're here to give you guys our review. So some of the negatives for me, I was sitting there talking to Morgan, not spoiling the movie experience, but there were some things I was just like, oh, I know where this is going, where that's going, which at the end of the day, it's a Deadpool movie, so I don't really go into this looking for this Infinity War type of thread line and storyline. At the same time, it's a movie, so you want to enjoy the storyline, but there were some predictability factors that I thought could have been punched up a little bit more. I would say 95% of the jokes landed, but the 5% that didn't work kind of stood out, where it's just like either it kind of went over my head or I just didn't find it funny. So not all the jokes landed. There
were a few jokes that like lingered. It was like, all right, let's move on to the next thing.
And also too, we talked about Cable and Domino, which I love, but I wanted more from them. Now, I'm not going to use that too much in the negative because we know if you guys follow a lot of movie news, we're going to get an X-Force movie. So we're going to get more of Domino, more of Cable. But I would have liked to see more of them in this film. And also, there were some repetitive beats that we got from the first Deadpool. Some of the jokes kind of went to the second one that they used in the first. And some of the action sequences were kind of repetitive. But for you, was there anything that kind of stood out as far as negative for you?
I'd say predictability was probably the biggest one for me. I would have liked to get more Domino, more Cable, but I understand there's only so much you can do as well. Yeah, definitely. Well, and exactly, it's a Deadpool movie, and that's who we want to focus on. If we weren't focusing on him, we'd be complaining that there wasn't enough of him.
Exactly. So you take your wins with your losses, like Morgan said. It's a Deadpool movie. You want to go see it for Wade Wilson in the introduction to X-Force, but again, we're going to get more Domino and Cable because they were great. And also for you guys that again follow movie news. There were, the test screens a couple months ago, people were complaining about they wanted more of Domino and Cable, so they injected more. So I really wonder from the initial cut how that would be interesting to know how much of a role they didn't play in the original cut. But all in all, guys, let's finish up with our overall thoughts. I went to go see this, enjoy Deadpool, and I got that. I enjoyed everything that we got, minus some of the subplots and some of the things that might seem repetitive from other franchises like Terminator, because this is a time travel movie. I had a good time with this film, which gives it a score for me. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I think that score is going to end up going up when I see this film multiple times, especially when I buy it. But right now, I'm pretty comfortable with saying it's a 4 out of 5 for me. What about you?
For what it was, I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5. The only reason I don't give that half point is because of those predictability factors. Sure. But overall, I thought it was a great movie. If you guys watch our reviews, I'm not the biggest fan of action. So I feel like lately in action and superhero films, we're getting comedy, and I'm really enjoying that aspect of these movies.
Yeah, and to that final point too, I love where Deadpool falls in this cinematic universe. We got Marvel. We just came off Infinity War, which my mind's still blown from that film. But I just love the change of pace that we get with Deadpool. Right. And I think this is when people bring up superhero fatigue. I mean, you've been brought up sometimes. It just feels like every 2 months or so we're getting a new superhero, new all this, and it gets a little fatigue. Yeah. But I think when you have a Deadpool, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, and different genres within the superhero movie. Like you said, this is a comedy, but then we just came from a space epic, Lord of the Rings meets, Avengers.
Which has comedy, but that wasn't the main element. Right. That's the main element.
And that's what I love about where we're at with comic book movies. There's so many different characters, that we've never heard of that are now Guardians of the Galaxy, Deadpool. People, your average viewer isn't familiar with these comic book characters. So I just love the landscape of the superhero movie, and I love what Deadpool brings to the kind of the universe. So with that being said, some questions I have for you guys is for you that have seen the film. Do you want more Deadpool? Of course you do. It's Deadpool. But do you want a Deadpool 3 or do you want an X-Force? Do you want a Cable spinoff? Do you want a Domino spinoff? So let us know in the comments what you guys want to see. Also, I just have to say, this movie has probably 2 of the greatest post-credit scenes I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. There's quite a few cameos, but there's a particular cameo
where you're just like
I was laughing for like 5 minutes straight. So definitely stay in your seats when you're done watching this film. Stay around and check those out. So with that, again, 4 out of 5 for me, 4.5 out of 5. So with that being said, go see Deadpool if you haven't already, guys. Something to keep an eye out for. We're going to be Going into next week, we got Solo coming out, so definitely keep an eye out for that. Yes, here are some good things about it, so definitely keep an eye out for our review for that. Also, guys, like, share, subscribe again to our channel. Follow us on our social media accounts. We'd love to continue this conversation with you guys, so click the link below to follow us on Instagram, start us, and all those cool apps. So definitely do that. And as always, guys, we appreciate the support. Definitely, like I said, follow us on our channels. But I also wanted to say on this video, today's Friday. The tragic news that we heard about in Texas. Morgan and I, both from Movie Files, just want to send our thoughts and prayers to those that were affected by those that were lost and those that were injured. So, I mean, gun violence is something that needs to be attended to, not just in America, but across the world. So, again, our thoughts and prayers go out to those that were affected by that tragedy. So, with that being said, guys, thanks again for watching this review, and we'll see you on the next video.